The Thunderbird House. Actually, its Ojibwe name is Wakapima Waka. The Circle of Life Thunderbird House in English. I can't get that Ojibwe pronunciation right. It was designed by the famous Aboriginal architect Douglas Cardinal. Come to think of it, I never much cared for his designs. Although I am not noted for my great taste in anything, least of all the arts. My idea of fine dining is a bucket from KFC. The Thunderbird House is built on the former site of a notorious Main Street bar. I'm coming here to interview Mary Richard. She won an Aboriginal Achievement Award in 2003. She ran unsuccessfully for both the provincial Tories and the federal Liberal Party. She can be irascible at times, but I do have a lot of respect for that woman.
Hi, Trevor.
Hi, Mary.
Welcome to the Thunderbird House.
Thank you for having me. Sit down. Myself, I've talked to a lot of people who are, considered cross-cultural adoptees, because that's what you call somebody who's been, adopted by a non-Aboriginal family. And they always look at me and they say, well, I have both Ojibwe parents, and four, Ojibwe grandparents and that sort of thing. They said, you must never have doubted your native identity. Yet, when I was younger, I had a real problem wrestling with, what does it really mean to be a native? I guess some of those, stereotypical views of, living in a teepee, living on the open plains, that sort of thing, being a more woodsy type person than the urban environment I grew up in. Do you think a lot of different people ask themselves this question?
I lived in a Metis community, and even though I knew how I was, when you left your community, you didn't know whether you should identify yourself with who you were because you were not accepted. And so you had to decide, should I be Métis today or should I just ignore who I am so people will accept me? Because I know for myself, when I first came to the city and I went to hairdressing school, there were only 3 of us in the class out of 25, 30 hairdressers that were of Indian and Métis background. It was easy for me. I wasn't as dark as the other 2 girls, but they didn't know also. They thought I had a French accent, but it's that old Camperville Métis accent. And so, then I had to then I would tell them, well, no, I'm Métis, Then they'd say, well, what's a Métis, And you got to go through all this explanation. But sometimes it would have been just as easy to just say, well, I'm French, But I also knew that that wouldn't be, I couldn't really truly deny who I was. But when my older sisters first left home and they first came to the city, they had to deny who they were because otherwise they'd never get a job, And one of my sisters was fair enough that she could pass. And people say, how could she do that? Well, I said, it's survival. It was survival. And I said, and if you wanted a job, and there's a sign saying there, no Indians or Ukrainians, hey, what are you going to do? I mean,
you telling me there were really signs that
yes,
no Indians, no
Ukrainians, and even and the Ukrainians, even when they were here, if they wanted a job with the city, they had to anglicize their names. So that discrimination, that denial of who you are, was a regular thing in the city, not just in Winnipeg, throughout the world, throughout Canada. So it's only now in this multicultural opportunity, at least we talk about it, but it doesn't always necessarily work out that way. But now it's we're the flavor of the month, and it's great to be either Métis or First Nations. And I guess the best part is the people that are really fair, that have Aboriginal background. Like for them, it's really great to be identifying as, whereas before they wouldn't. But now it's a great time to be Aboriginal, Métis, or First Nations, or Inuit.